Hello. Today we are in Wausau at First United Methodist Church and doing an on-site conversation, and I am joined by Pastor Rebecca. So can I invite you first to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Pastor Rebecca Voss, and I came to Wausau about 3 years ago, and it has been an incredible place to serve.
And so we are in your building. We are standing in the back of the sanctuary right now, and you guys have been doing some really cool stuff with your building, or well, you have cool plans with your building. Tell me about it.
Yes, well, actually, it helps to go back a little bit in the past. When we started together, and I came here during COVID in 2020, and there was a crisis at the local shelter for homeless people because there was not enough space for them to safely spread out. And so what we did was we said, hey, we've got plenty of space in our building. So we actually hosted Catholic Charities Warming Center, which housed anywhere from 20 up to 27, 30 people a night here every night throughout the winter, and also provided a warm dinner and a warm breakfast. And it was a very needed ministry to provide to our community.
And because this is one of these large old church buildings, when I got here today, I drove around the block and I just kept going. I was like, oh, I'm still in front of the church. I'm still in front of the church.
Yes, we actually have over 50,000 square feet in this building. It was built in 2 phases. The first section is our fellowship hall, kitchen, office area, and classroom area. And that was built in the late 50s. And right now we are standing in the sanctuary side of the building, and that was dedicated in 1967. So between those 2 parts of the building that were tied together, it's a lot of space. And when they started this space, there were 1,000 kids in Sunday school.
Oh my goodness, I thought you were going to say 1,000 members, but
No,
1,000 kids
in Sunday school.
Wow.
And they actually had Sunday school for 2 hours every Sunday morning, and also on Wednesdays. And so it was needed to have this much space. And unfortunately, we no longer have 1,000 kids in Sunday school. But we have space, and it is a resource that we know God has given to us to use in new ways now. Even if we don't have the kids and the people coming as fully as they did 50 years ago, we know that we have a resource, a treasure really from God to share with our community. And so
you guys have big plans.
Yes.
There is this starting with using space maybe during COVID and all the community outreach that's been happening. There's something new you are doing with your building.
Yes. So this past February, we had what's called a charge conference vote, where over 80 people, members of our church, showed up and unanimously voted to donate our entire building as a lease. Because of our polity, we couldn't actually donate the building itself fully,
Right.
but we are donating a 100-year renewable lease. Legally, we have to charge $1 a year, but to what's called the Community Foundation of North Central Wisconsin. And then they are going to completely renovate this building so that we can still have and use the space we need for now and even future growth, but also to take about half of the building and use it for much needed daycare. Marathon County has at least 2,000 spots short for childcare right now, and that means people can't work, and employers can't find people to fill much needed positions, and it causes a lot of financial distress to households and the economy in general.
Yeah.
And so we are also blessed with being right across the street from the downtown YMCA.
Which has childcare.
Which has not only childcare, but they are known in the community for having the most reliable childcare, and they pay their employees a living wage. And so we knew that they knew how to manage this well. So as a partnership with the Community Foundation, we'll renovate this entire space And then the YMCA will be the major leasee with the Community Foundation to bring at least 150 much-needed childcare spots into this building. And being right across the street, of course, they will be able to have those resources across the street too. And so we're very excited for this partnership.
Yeah, so there'll be childcare space, and then you said your fellowship hall is being transitioned.
The fellowship hall will be transitioned into childcare areas because up until the age of 30 months, all classroom space for childcare has to have direct grade level egress and for safety. And so the priority is to give them as much first floor space as possible. And then also, we still have a huge lower level that really cannot be used for childcare. And so we're still, talking with the Community Foundation about what other needs they see to serve the community. And right now it appears need is for people in nonprofit art-focused groups. So whether it's like a community theater or children's theater or, visual arts or anything like that. We have lots of large group rehearsal space and large classrooms and office space that can be used downstairs for those kinds of needs. So we actually have a historic name of, Wausau, First United Methodist Church of Wausau, but we're actually kind of shifting that a little bit and we're saying Wausau First United Methodist Church, because we really do want to be seen as a church that focuses on serving our community first.
I love that.
And so that's part of the vision.
Yeah, so I just want to reiterate, because I think this is so cool, because I think so often in churches we say, oh my gosh, this sounds like a lot of work. Are you doing all of this work, Rebecca? She is doing a lot of work, I will say that, but.
Yes, but we have tremendous leaders, people here in the congregation who recognize that, you have to be generous, you have to be flexible, you have to think of the needs of the community before our own comfort and familiarity and everything else. So we have to be willing to say, yeah, we can move this very important mural from that room to this new space in order to make room for the children. Those are the priorities, and I am so grateful for this congregation for their openness and willingness to surrender, what is commonly well, that's my kitchen or that's my, favorite pew, and to say, you know what, let's make sure that this is something that serves the needs of the community, and we will always be a church, and yet the building will appear different in different areas, but by being flexible, I think it actually strengthens us as the church itself, the people.
Yeah. So the Community Foundation will then manage the building, right?
So the Community Foundation will do all the renovations. We recently paid for ourselves to update all of the lighting in the sanctuary, as well as a very large organ improvement. And so, but after that, all the other renovations and maintenance and cleaning even will be covered by the Community Foundation. And we will be paying them what's called a common area maintenance or CAM fee every year. And that will actually mean that, for instance, our building engineer, who is currently on our staff, will then actually join the staff of the Community Foundation instead. And so they will be paying for him. They'll also be paying all the utilities and all of the, the maintenance and improvements that are needed. The whole building. So
it funds this vast improvement and getting your building kind of up to code and being able to meet the community. But then also, I just love, as someone who's been a local church pastor and been the person called when the toilet breaks or that sort of thing, being able to say, you know what, let's let the Community Foundation manage this, and then you can focus on ministry.
Exactly. We are no longer going to need to worry about bricks and mortar, but about ministry, about reaching people with the love of Christ in our community. And so we are very excited, just in terms of a few numbers, between the difference between what we are currently paying to maintain the property and subtracting what we would pay in those CAM charges, we'll be saving at least $65,000 to $70,000 a year at minimum, and those prices are only rising as gas increases and everything else rises. And so it actually will allow us to use that money towards programming and staffing needs.
That's amazing.
So we're excited about that.
So tell me a story of when God has shown up in this work.
Oh, goodness. Well, I would say I see God showing up in so many faces of people who are both members and community leaders and others that have come alongside us to make this happen. I can see where there have been, people in need that, they know that if it wasn't for the way that the church has opened ourselves up to help those in the most need, they would not have, the place and the resources they need. We do have two very active ministries to the community that we will continue to operate even with less space. We have our personal needs closet, which provides things like toiletries and cleaning supplies, which are not covered by TANF and other, aid things like that. But people need to,
take a shower,
clean and wash their laundry and things like that. We also have another ministry that operates at the same time called Claire's Critter Closet, which supplies people with cat litter and food and dog food and treats and leashes and all of those things for their animals who, if they've lost a job, if they're going through a financial crisis or a health scare of any kind, they often have, you can't buy food for your pets, and they don't want to surrender them. And so this way it keeps the moral support that animals provide so many people when they need it the most.
Family.
Yes, when they need it the most. And so every month we serve about 100 households with those supplies. And we have some very grateful people in our community for that.
Awesome. Well, and finally, I just want us to highlight the window behind us. Rebecca was telling me that this was built in 1967. But if you notice the diversity of the people, in 1967, Wausau was not a very diverse place, but today it is.
It's growing.
It's growing. It's more.
Yes, it's more diverse.
It's more diverse than what you might imagine northern Wisconsin having. And so the vision of God's beloved community has been at the heart of this church and continues to be at the heart of this church.
Yes. And that is something that, in addition to our work, making sure we provided space for homeless guests to find safe and warm shelter and food for 2 winters. We also recognize that we do have a rich history of welcoming Hmong refugee resettlement back 20, 30 years ago, but then that all stopped. And we thought, why can't we do more? We do have a bus system. We do have some infrastructure things. We actually have relatively affordable housing, despite what locals might say. Statewide perspective, it is still affordable. Yeah. And so we then reached out to see what we could do to bring a national refugee resettlement agency here to Wausau. So we've been part of that. We've also started a new nonprofit called New Beginnings for Refugees that works alongside the Ethiopian Community Development Council, which is not just focused on people from Ethiopia, but from refugees all over the world who come. And so together in that partnership with not only our church but other congregations, this is a truly ecumenical effort, and it's also not just ecumenical with the churches, but we are now so excited to be able to connect deeply with our new neighbors, not only from Afghanistan and Syria and Burundi and Myanmar and a lot from DR Congo and other places like that, and more to come in new places, who are now able to call Wausau, Wisconsin, their their new home as they put roots down here.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing this with us today.
You're welcome. It was wonderful to have you here.